please subscribe, hit that like button, and as always, leave a comment, and thank you for enjoying the video.
Shot to right, slicing toward the pesky pole, down the line, it's going to be out of here! Line down the right field line toward the pesky pole, leaping up, and that ball is gone! That's a home run! A lot of our Nesson team as well. High fly down the right field line, headed toward the pesky pole, that one tucked in, and that ball is going to be against the wall, and into second base. Number retired, and now Rafael Devers trying to retire that baseball inside the pesky pole.
Welcome to another episode of the Pesky Podcast, episode 96, brought to you today by BSEN, Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I am your host, Rit. With me, like always, is the OG George Sutherland. DC is living up the George, what do you call it? The bachelor party?
I guess, but yeah, he's out. He's having fun on the Maryland shore.
But man, hey, if you guys do not want to watch the Tampa game, I have no problems with you hopping on over here and getting ready to look at the next series preview. Starting tomorrow, George, we'll be playing the Milwaukee Brewers, and with us to sit there and talk about the Brewers and give us a little insight on them is our good friend Andy. Man, Andy, how's it going?
Going great. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Not bad. When the Brewers series came up, I knew you're the man to sit there and talk to because we had some great at the trade deadline conversations with you.
Yeah.
So, but the Brewers this year are a little bit different from last year. You know, you guys lost Corbin Burns. What is the feel over there in Milwaukee now? And who did you guys end up using to replace, which you can't really just replace, but, you know, put it in the rotation for Burns?
Yeah, I think your replacement is what you're looking at is Freddie Peralta takes your ace spot. I've talked about him on the show before, and he's really matured. Is he as good as Burns? Probably not, but is he a top tier pitcher in the league? I would say probably easily. Most teams he's a 1 or a 2, depending on who he's with, right? There are some teams probably that got maybe a better 2 than him, but not many. So he's taken that role. And then after that, it's kind of a patchwork quilt. I mean, Colin Ray has started quite a few games and he's been decent. It's probably a number 4 or 5 on most teams. We lost Wade Miley for the year. So that's gone. There's a Gasser kid that's been throwing okay, but to be truthful, it's not a super strong starting rotation, I guess, in my opinion, other than Peralta.
Well, let's that is, and George can attest, that is the biggest surprise over here in Boston. Our starting rotation. So let's go and break it down. Game 1, we're throwing our boy Cutter Crawford. You guys got Wilson going. What can we expect from Wilson?
I haven't caught a whole lot of him. I believe, if I remember right, and I don't want to tell you guys the wrong stuff, but I believe we got him in a trade in the offseason. I want to say and I could be wrong 100%, but I want to say from the Giants, if I remember right. And I haven't watched a whole lot of him. So he's new to me. He's not, I can tell you, I pay attention enough to know he's not lighting anything up. And I don't think you guys have to be, he's not going to strike out 10 guys. I think he's just serviceable. And I think that's where we're at with a lot of our starters. So.
Cool.
You're going up against pretty much our ace of our staff. Give or take the time of day, what coin it is. George, you want to talk about Cutter Crawford?
Yeah. Andy, full disclosure, Cutter Crawford is Ritz Binky. Okay, so he's number one in Crawford's fan club, and for good reason. He was penciled in to be somewhere in the 3-4 range, and between he and Tanner Houck, depending upon the game thrown, both of them are going out there and pretending to be aces. He's learned to get up to the sixth inning and doing it with some consistency. He's learning to pitch out of trouble. He's carrying a 2.17 ERA. You get batters out. He's struck out almost 60 batters, 50 something, I think. And he's throwing strikes, and he's learning to get by and pitch into and out of trouble, which is helpful. There was a game probably 3 weeks ago, Rit, where AC left him in, and everybody was expecting to take him out, and okay, kid, get out of let's get out of this, and he has. So he's been a pleasant surprise. He pitched 125 innings last year. We're expecting him to go probably 150 to 180. He shows no signs of letting up. So, and when he gets in trouble, usually he'll be sailing along, and then all of a sudden he'll start walking a couple of batters in succession. That's usually a sign that he's come off the rails just a little bit, and usually he can get himself back on. So. But he's proven to be a very pleasant surprise, and with Tanner Houck, they're a nice 1-2 combination for us.
So, and game 2, we're throwing out there our pit bull Pavetta. We recently got him back off the IL a couple weeks ago. You guys are throwing out there. Am I saying this right? Rhea?
Yeah, Colin Ray. That's who I was talking about earlier. We had him last year. He's a younger kid. He's not going to blow you away by any means. A lot of control, some off-speed stuff, and he throws strikes. He's the kind of guy you put him out there, and hopefully your defense does the work. Like I said, he's not going to blow you away by any means, but a lot of strikes, pounding the zone, and like I said, the defense, hopefully, and that truthfully, I mean, has kind of been their recipe the last few years. Even when Counsell was there, Murphy's done the same thing. Their defensive run save the Brewers have had for quite a few years now. It's obvious that who they're putting in the field, that's their biggest thing, is to try to get the defensive runs saved and pitch to contact with some of these guys.
Yeah. George, you want to sit there and talk about Pavetta?
Yeah. As Cutter Crawford is Ritz man, Nick Pavetta's mine. Ultimate gamer. Had a tough season last year. Was in the starting rotation, got put in the bullpen. Could have sulked, but he went in there, discovered a new pitch with sweeper. So now not only can come north-south with the fastball, but now he's got a slider sweeper that is just deadly and can now come east-west. He just came off the IL. This is start number 3, I believe, for him since he came off the IL.
Yeah.
And he's another one. He'll go 6-7 for you, and he's the ultimate competitor on the mound. This is last year. He's a UFA next year, so he's there's like there's a guy that doesn't need motivation, he's got more. So he will always pitch you a tough game. So we'll occasionally give up the home run at the long time, but you want him out there because he's the ultimate competitor.
Yeah, and game 3, you guys, it has on the schedule to be determined for you. We're throwing out Tanner Houck, who, along with Jonathan Papelbon, has helped us push Houckamania. After his complete game shutout, he just pitched another, 7 innings shutout against Tampa. Do you have any idea who possibly could be your third starter for game 3?
I don't know who we're throwing tonight off the top of my head. I literally got in the truck and I'm like, I got to get on the podcast, and I didn't have a chance to look, so I can't remember who we're throwing tonight. So I don't know off to be truthful.
Peralta pitched tonight.
So if Peralta's going tonight, he's not going to throw. That it might be that Gasser kid, who younger guy again. Once it's like a Colin Ray again, not going to blow you away, going to throw strikes. He hasn't been great, but I think with the Brewers, I think their recipe they're trying to do is get into their bullpen. If they can get these guys, some of these guys, young guys, through 5 innings, the back end of their bullpen is real solid, and that's what they're trying to do. I think more than anything. So, if they, like I said, 4 or 5 innings out of these guys, get to the bullpen, and that's where we have, I think, enough arms there to carry a game.
Yeah, Tanner Houck, if you look at his win-loss record, it does not do anything justice whatsoever. No. He has been pitching gems left and right. He's been he added a split finger to his arsenal, and it is just a lot improved on him. Not only that, he's pitching for on the opposite side of the rubber too, which is something new. It's kind of just keeping it basics, keeping it simple. And with Tanner Houck out there, we haven't been able to either A, score runs to help him, or B, we've just been having errors where it's just stupid mistakes. So I shit you not. And George, he could be at least have a 5-3 record.
Oh, easy.
So
yeah, he's been snake bitten by poor defense, and the offense abandons him. It's too bad too, because it seems terrible to have any kind of great outing by him wasted, because you can't string a few hits together. So
yeah. So let's sit there and ease into the lineups where we've got the Red Sox going, and let's go around the infield a little bit for the Brewers, because in the off season I was pitching heavy for the Red Sox to trade Corbin Burns, to get Corbin Burns, and possibly Adames, or even who's your second baseman?
Bryce Trang.
Yeah. So going around your infield and everything, who's your infield, and who's been the hot hand on the infield so far?
So Bryce Trang probably is the biggest surprise at second base. He is among league leaders in on-base percentage and steals. I know he's up there in runs scored. Like I said, compared to where he was last year, he's made some adjustments that have put him to the point where you can have him lead off bat in the 2-hole, and you have a really good feeling when he's up there that he's going to get on and he can make things happen, especially, like I said, trouble on the base pass. Shortstop Willie Adames is still there. He just had a good game yesterday, and he said he's just been hitting the ball hard, but just at people. So he's still going to be your, 230 hitter. And I think last year he led the league in home runs at the shortstop position. A pretty basic platoon at the third base position. So that one, they have a Monasterio, a younger guy that's been playing there quite a bit. He played there last year. He's decent. And then we got Jake Bauer has been playing at first base a little bit more recently, a younger guy with some good pop in his bat. So we've been seeing him quite a bit more. But really, I guess, offensively, not necessarily in the infield, but at the catcher position, Wilson Contreras is having an all-star season. And just he's been unbelievable. Hitting for power, hitting for accuracy, timely hitting. Defensively, he's been phenomenal. that's probably the one that I don't know if anybody saw it coming, but he's just incredible right now. Probably the hottest catcher in the game.
Yeah. George, we've got on the one side of the infield, we have an abysmal infield. On the other side, things are starting to turn around. Rafael Devers just came off a 6-game home run streak, and it was absolutely amazing. Watching him because it was opposite field. He was getting deep in the counts and everything, and then we've had Ceddanne Rafaela playing shortstop, which was a crazy stat that they threw in the game today. He's had, I think, 22 or 23 games started in shortstop, and then 22 or 23 games started in center field. And he plays Gold Glove both easy there. And then on the opposite field, we've got Vaughn Grissom, who's still young. He's able to sit there and be able to go across the base path. He's still young, though. He still makes mistakes and everything. I starting to kind of like a little bit, David Hamilton over there, because that is his natural position, playing second base. His bat's starting to come around a little bit, which is absolutely fantastic. And then we've had Cooper, and we have Dominic Smith over at first base. I was sitting there watching Dominic Smith play the other night, George. And is it me, or does he kind of remind you like an Andres Galarraga, kind of smooth and subtle sliding, over there at first base? But he's got his own style to it, moving around.
A little bit, yeah. He, you always think of Dominic Smith as a bat, but he can, he can play a solid first base. I mean, the biggest thing we're missing right now is the home run pop, because from the right-hand side of that infield, we're getting nothing. It's like a black hole. We're missing Tristan Casas. Hopefully he's back by the end of June. I mean, he's given himself, June 21st is the comeback date. We'll see how that works out. But
wait, are you serious?
Yeah. He said that was the other day.
Can you imagine, George? Tristan Casas is in a rehab assignment, and they're playing Scranton.
Yeah.
That's during the week time span where, I'd be there. How sweet it would be.
It'd be sweeter if it was up in Portland with me, but that's
you've got plenty. Last year you had Sale.
Yeah, I did.
And Story.
And Story. Yep, I got them both. But I mean, it's not. I mean, the right hand side of it, we're marking time. Second base has been it's been turnstile all year, and the current two people are Grissom and Hamilton. Okay, Hamilton's playing really well. He's starting to hit, and my friend, that's huge, because the guy's a gazelle on the bases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Trevor Story, you're not going to replace him. No. We're fortunate to have Ceddanne Rafaela. Romy Gonzalez is kind of picking up the slack, and Hamilton can be there. Hamilton is short, less is more. So, I mean, Hamilton's hitting 238 right now. I kind of like what he's doing. He's kind of feeling comfortable at the plate, kind of making a case to stay. Mm-hmm. And Grissom, this is spring training for him. Say what you want. He came back. So I'm not going to be too upset until probably mid-June. And then he's got to show himself, because, he's bat first, glove second. And he hasn't looked horrible with the glove. He's a couple of indecisions here and there, but, I can take that. And Rafi's home run tear has just been, electric.
Now, so. George, how do you like him? And we talked about it a lot in the preseason, spring training. Devers in the 4-hole now. He's not batting second. That's a lot. It's, really comfortable and everything. Connor Wong was batting third today. He's been batting fifth also. So, it's absolutely fantastic on how they switching things up a little bit. So,
yeah, I mean they've got a couple of guys around him who are hitting well, so they can somewhat protect him. So he's seeing better pitches. Ref Snyder's hitting in the 5-hole today. We know what he does, okay, and he's been playing exceptionally well. And Connor Wong, I mean, my God, he's hitting 340 something, and everybody's saying where'd that come from? But what that's allowed Devers to do is see a good pitch and drive it someplace. So, amen.
Yeah. So, but let's switch over to the outfield. So, AJ, can you hear me still? I was saying we can't hear you now.
See, you're muted, buddy.
Nope.
No.
Having technical difficulties.
That's all right.
Nope. Try going out and coming back in.
Yeah, he's got to pull over and do that. There you go.
Yeah. So, but our outfield, let's sit there and talk real quick, George, about Jarren Duran. And I'm not a man to toot my own horn, but I was going to save this for when DC was here too. But I can always bring this up one more time. When both of you guys snubbed when I asked if he was going to make All-Star. He leads the league in triples. Stolen base. He steals home. And I love, because it's the same catcher that he knew from when he was down in AAA. So he knew that he just lobs it back
right
to the pitcher. So he knew he was going to steal. So and the man is he hit a home run also yesterday.
Yep.
So what else does this man have to do, George, to get you on the happy feet train?
I'm thrilled that he's playing as well as he has, and he's turned into and I said this last time, he's turned into a very good leadoff hitter. Okay, so you can't not love that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Yep, we're good.
All right. So, back to the outfield. So we have Jackson Chourio, who last year was the number 2 prospect in baseball. He's struggling at the plate a little bit this year. He's hitting about 220. I don't think he's really found his stroke yet, and I think pitchers have figured him out a little bit. Yelich has been hitting the cover off the ball. Really good if he can stay healthy. Hitting about 330. So that's been really good. And then kind of a, platoon. They have Sal Frelick, who was a rookie last year. Defensively, he's phenomenal. Essentially, at the plate, he hasn't been real great, but he's been all right. So, and then you have another young guy named Blake Perkins that's pretty decent too. So, I mean, really, Yelich has been great when he's in.
Yeah, surprising.
About a month.
With
at least 3 weeks with back problems, which has plagued him for the last couple of years. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of our outfield. And I can add something that I forgot about earlier. In that Corbin Burns trade, we did get Ortiz, who has also been playing third base for us, who's been actually pretty solid. And it just totally skipped me. So.
Yeah. Cool. George, you want to sit there and cover over on our, outfield?
Yeah, I mean, we started the season with Cedane Rafaela in center field, but after Story's injury, he's been splitting time between center field and shortstop. Jarren Duran has he was starting as the opening day left fielder and has done a very good job in that role, but he's had to move to center field. And, he always struggled a little bit. He never got great jumps. He's refined his game. He's not Gold Glove, okay, but he's improved his game a lot. He's got blazing speed. He leads the league in triples. Has turned into an outstanding leadoff hitter. Okay, he's hitting close to 270, getting on base. He stole home last night. I mean, that's good. I kind of thought, Rick, when he did that last night, I kind of thought, yeah, where was that in Seattle when he was creeping down the line when Devers was there? He could almost touch home plate and he was going back.
That was Casas.
Casas, yeah.
It was crazy. And AJ, if you don't sit there and know this, look it up. It's on Twitter and stuff where like Duran is 10 feet. I don't, and I shit you not, like 10, maybe 12 feet away from home plate because there was a shift and there was no one covering third. Like, yeah. It was so distracting to Casas when he was batting that he struck out. So I didn't know then why he didn't go, but then he decides last night. Other than he said he knew the catcher and he knew that he lobs the ball and doesn't actually throw the ball back. So
yeah, he turns singles into doubles into triples. Okay, and if you make an error in the field, he will he will make you pay because speed kills. In right field, we have Wilyer Abreu came over in the Vasquez trade a couple of years ago from the Astros. Going to be a very solid right fielder. And the thing about him is they have put him anywhere in the lineup from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he hits. And then he plays a high quality outfield as well, and has a cannon for an arm. But he made a play the other night at Fenway where he went running to get the ball, and he ended up crashing into the wall. And everybody in the field, everybody at home, if you saw they had the play, thought he had caught the ball. He didn't. The ball got just past him. He goes all out, and he will surprise you with his defense. And then we've also got Rob Refsnyder, who's a lefty killer, but this year, who he hits, he's hitting them all. And then Tyler O'Neill, which I'm sure you remember, facing him, when he played for St. Louis. O'Neill's hit like 11 home runs, he's just tearing when he's on, he's tearing the cover off the ball. He gives you Gold Glove caliber defense in the outfield as well. And I'd say for the outfield, we have speed to spare. All of our outfielders can run. Okay. Abreu can run, but the two fastest runners are Rafaela and Duran. So, and I'll put Refsnyder in as a plus runner as well. But the Rafaela and Duran are like gazelles. So, they will make you pay.
I'll give you guys one little maybe nugget and just take it for what it's worth. I would bet to say you will see a spectacular sports-centered play from Sal Frelick in the series at some point. He's pretty exceptional. He makes diving catches and just crazy plays all the time. He's pretty exceptional second-year player in the field. His bat isn't phenomenal, but defensively he's pretty good. And it's like almost every series you see him make a play, and you're just like, holy man. So
that's exactly where I have dubbed Ceddanne Rafael the human highlight reel, because he has made numerous diving catches in the outfield. Yesterday, I think it was, he fully extended at shortstop. He didn't come up with a play, but he, fully extended body on the line. I kind of get scared when I see that because it's flashbacks of Trevor Story, because when he did, the dive. Real quick, on the Bob watch here, Bobby Dahlbeck hits yet another home run for the Woo Sox. Possibly the greatest 4A player I've ever seen. George, I might have a small tidbit on Section 10 podcast. They asked why can't they bring Bobby Dahl back up, but instead of letting him play in a Red Sox uniform, just let him keep playing in a Woo Sox uniform, and it might mess with his mind a little bit where he actually hits.
Put the Woo Sox uniform under his Red Sox uniform.
That could be one too.
So he needs the problem is between his ears when he gets to the bigs. So,
but AJ, let's just sit there and go to the bullpen, because you can't sit there and have a 28-20 record in your division, especially, and not have a great bullpen.
Right. So it's interesting because they've really, once again, I don't know how they do it year in and year out, but keep the bullpen where it's at. Even like we've lost Devin Williams. Hopefully he's back in the next month or so. Obviously, one of the best closers in the game the last couple of years. Just lost him. Then we had a kid, Uribe, who had been doing really well. And all of a sudden he got the yips and was sent back down to the minors. So now you're sitting there and going, well, what are you going to do? Well, this Payamps kid has been really, really good for us. And I just have to be honest, a bunch of these guys, I don't even know, because it seems like every week we have a different guy up. They've been using the minor league system and sending guys up and down pretty regularly. And I guess it has a lot to say for, the pitching coach and really the system that the Brewers have put in place probably for the past 5 years. It almost seems like they can pull anybody up from the minors, plug them in. Then, a couple games later, they might send them down and bring somebody else up. I don't know how they do it. And I'd love to tell you that, hey, I know all these guys. I don't, because half the time there's somebody new. So it's pretty amazing. Like I told you, with their pitching staff, they're a bunch of no names, and they really are. They had pulled somebody up the other day, and I'm like, who's that guy? So it's just I don't know how they do it, but they do it well. And it goes to say for the arms that they've been trading away for the past years too. They develop these guys out of nowhere sometimes, and they end up being really good. So I wish I had more than that, but they've been pretty stellar. Hopefully once the injuries are gone and we get some of these guys back, they're even better. So
yeah, it's one thing, like if you look over the past years, you guys had Josh Hader, and he was lights out. Then all of a sudden you guys had a 1-2 combination with Williams and Hader. Then, Hader left, Williams was your guy. So it always seems like closing's never, that hard for you guys out there.
Right. And like I said, they call, Arizona, they send a lot of guys down there to be, I don't know what they do down there as far as how they put these guys through their program down there, but they get them down there to the Arizona facility, and just the things they do down there, I guess, are just incredible with these pitchers. Burns was down there, Woodruff was down there, Freddie Peralta was down there. All these arms that they developed them, and it's pretty crazy. So honestly, their bullpen are guys, and it's been up and down all year as far as they'll bring a guy up for a few games, send him down. So it's hard to even keep track, and that's really the truth. So
yeah, well, with our closer on the opposite end, at the start of the season, I had a full head of hair, but every time Kenley Jansen comes in, I lose some. So George, you want to sit there and even last night's game, like I was a little confident, but then there's always room for speculation with Kenley Jansen.
Kenley Jansen has the resume. He's been a good closer for a long time. This year, he's been walking the tightrope. He's had good outings. He's had bad outings. And generally at some point during any stint in the mound, you're holding your breath. Because he'll start off, he'll walk the first couple of batters and you're going, uh-oh. And then, he'll the synapses square away in his brain and he'll start firing strikes. Batters go sit down. It's weird. It's just, and, I'm sure, AC's, is spitting out the bubble gum and going for the Tums when he comes in because I can't explain it. He's a veteran. He's kind of shaking it off when he was in that much of a spring training. But, he's what we have. We spent a lot of money to have him. I think there are, if they decided to do something at the deadline, we have heirs apparent to the throne. But for right now, he's what we have. So, do you get the good Kenley or the bad Kenley? That's really the secret.
Well, it's all tied up. That ball was Wong gone, Connor Wong.
Yeah, baby.
But man, it's crazy. Like I enjoyed seeing Slayton come in to finish off the game when Tanner Houck, pitched that shutout. So Andy, we feel you. When it comes to the bullpen, the closer, the further away from the ninth inning, it seems like the easier and less stress it is for us.
Sure. And our bullpen's been good, but it's just like I said, you don't know any of these guys because it's just like I said earlier, it's a patchwork quilt, the whole pitching staff, and how they're making it work, I don't know. So you like that Uribe guy that they sent down, he was 102, but he just lost control, and he's young. I think it's more mental, but he was supposed to take over for Williams when Williams went down, and he did for a little bit, and then he lost it. And then there's just nobody there that I can honestly say has been there very consistent. So
yeah. I mean, it's not that our bullpen's been bad either. I mean, we've had some good performances. Brendan Bernardino is one of the lefties in our pen. Still a mystery as to why he was left off the opening day roster, but they quickly figured out that they had made a mistake, and he has just pitched brilliantly. Cam Boozer, done a pretty good job. Chris Martin, professional, good setup guy. And, Rick mentioned Justin Slayton, Rule 5 pick, right? They said in the broadcast, he's no longer a Rule 5 pick. He's a major contributor to your bullpen. And you'd be hard-pressed for a lot of people, it kind of reminds what happened when they plucked Garrett Whitlock from the Yankees. It's like, you guys have somebody better than this guy? But yeah, he's done a really good job. He seems to be able to shake off a bad outing and come back, and he's got good stuff. And AC's got some confidence in the kid, and he's proven it. So, yeah.
So, Andy, so what are you thinking overall? Because that the series, 3 games, and they're at Fenway. So, well, what are you thinking overall for the series? What are your expectations?
Well, I think we can expect competitive baseball. I think, the big thing for you guys is who we're going to get on that third day. Are you going to get, I mean, literally they could bring somebody up from the minors and I wouldn't be surprised. Not one bit. I could see that happening. Your first 2 games, I think you're going to get, it depends if you guys can hit strikes. I mean, you're going to see them, right? And how our defense is. There's zero chance, with your lineup that you guys couldn't put some serious runs on the board. That being said, we've been hitting the ball too. So, I mean, there's without question, Yelich, when he's healthy this year, has looked like his MVP form in the past. And Contreras is, like I said, as dangerous as anybody. And if Adames hits well this series, I mean, that top of our lineup can do some serious damage, even with the best of them. So I think the first 2 games, it'll depend on how our starting pitching is for you guys. If our starting pitching can get us to the back end of the bullpen, we'll probably be all right. But if you guys can jump on our starters the first 2 games, we could be in trouble.
Yeah, George, well, what are you thinking so far for this series?
I'm thinking the Sox can get 2 out of 3. The big thing is that to do that, they have to continue to do the timely hitting thing and continue to play good baseball in the field, because we know what happens if they don't. Okay. And that's been defense has been our bugaboo since day one. So if they play good defense, and in the streak that they're on right now, they have been doing some timely hitting and scoring when it counts. So if that continues to happen, it should be a pretty competitive game. But yeah, I mean, we've got 3 guys out there that can pitch well. So that's why I'm saying 2 out of 3 is not outside the realm of possibility here. And that's fully respecting the fact that you guys are a good ball club too.
Right.
Yeah.
So who do you think they're calling up from Nashville?
Oh, I'll be honest, I haven't been paying attention to Nashville a whole lot. And really, I follow a lot of stuff on Twitter with our farm systems and stuff, and nobody's really been, I guess nobody's really been sticking out really. And that's the funny part is, like, when they call these guys up, I work with a bunch of Brewers fans. Like, we talk about it a lot, and it's like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? They're it's not like they're our top prospects by any means, So it really, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's very strange when they call these guys up. It's like, who's this? They've called up a couple guys for their major league debut and then send them right back down. And it's the strangest thing. I don't know. I can't answer it. You get this thing, this guy, it's his major league debut, and then they send him right back down. Well, who was that? So nobody that's, in our top 30, nothing it's just like they're stopgaps just to get them through a game.
It's funny. That's exactly what our pitching staff was last year. It was spot start, like. But George, quick update: a 5-run 5th. We took the lead. Bayo's got to step it up now. So that's really good. Well, George, you kind of respected the guy. So, Andy, I like you. I enjoy you coming here, but right now with a spot starter and us missing your ace with Peralta, I'm bound to say this will be the 3rd time I said it this year. I'm bound to hit one of them. I'm saying that we're going to sweep you guys. With our 3 aces that we have out there, I'm counting a lot with Pavetta, George. So your guy better not leave me down.
43-40. He said
so. It. But no, I'm sitting there and I'm going to say, with the pitching that we're missing from you guys, I sit there and think that our bats, the way they are, as you just heard, we had a 5-run 5th. We can easily sit there and get a nice lead. But if our bats cool down at all, because right now we're possibility sweeping Tampa.
Yep.
Right, and Tropicana, which is our the gates of hell. So.
Oh yeah, it's purgatory for us, and nothing good ever happens down there.
One thing I will say that really, and I talked about him earlier in the game, and probably what has helped our pitching staff, and and he's just changed his game not only at the plate but defensively as Contreras, and that might be the link that's really held everything together. Defensively, he's been unbelievable. Gold Glove caliber. As far as framing pitches, he's been really, really good. And that might be really, what has helped our pitching staff is having that consistency back there of a guy that, I saw videos of him this summer just doing just crazy training behind the plate and really working at his craft. And you're seeing it. He's definitely realized that, the Brewers traded for him. They stole him really in that trade, in that 3-way trade. And he is everything they wanted to get in a catcher. And that might be why our pitching staff has been so good, is how good he has been behind the plate. He just has. And that, along with his offense, right now he's the MVP of the team without question.
Well, you don't have to sit there and tell us about what it's like to have a great catcher back there. We had the captain, Veritek, back there, and sometimes Andy, you're absolutely right. To where if you can get a great veteran catcher to be able to handle a young pitching staff, he can get the best out of the pitching staff better than anyone else. And all last year, George, DC, and myself, we're all talking about Connor Wong's defense. But what's absolutely fantastic this year, his bat finally caught up. So, everybody thought in the long run Verdugo was that key piece. Connor Wong is the key piece in that Mookie Betts trade. And he's absolutely stunner. As long as he keeps doing, for I'm saying 2 seasons, till Kyle Teal comes up. Even if Kyle Teal comes up, I don't even want him to, be our starting catcher. I would prefer a platoon 50-50, kind of like they do with Reese McGuire now. But keep his bat, and that is fantastic, George. Even Connor Wong, they're even putting him at DH. Because his bat is, picked up so well, especially with runners in scoring position.
He looks like he's a totally different guy at the plate. He's patient. We talked about it a million times. He got rid of the toe tap. He had this incredible toe tap for a timing device. Get rid of it. Simplified everything. Ready to face whatever the pitcher throws him. And he's driving it. He's hitting bombs. He's hitting shop line drives. He's putting balls in the gap. And he just it's effortless. Here it is, almost the end of May, and he's hitting close to 350. Go figure. And he's not, he's a catcher, but he doesn't run like a catcher. He looks like an infielder. If you look at him, you say, he's a catcher. He's an athlete. And everybody looks at it's right. Everybody thought it was Verdugo was the key piece. The Red Sox, if nothing else, have a starting catcher out of the deal and somebody who can mentor their prospect that's coming up. Not that he wouldn't have great mentoring with Jason Veritek on the bench, but somebody he can play with and teach him the ropes.
And not only that, like George, we went and traded Verdugo for some starting pitching depth with our man, Dickie Fitz. Because if the Dick Fitz, pitch it. So I can't wait till I get to meet him when we go.
Oh God!
Like DC might have to wheel me in, if him and I start having a conversation.
I hope he's got his phone running all the time, because I just can't wait to see the video of this. Exactly. So I'm not sure if you remember, but Rit and DC are up in PA. I'm in Maine. Okay, so they go see the Worcester team play the Rail Riders in Scranton, and I've got the Sea Dogs up here, so I get to see all the AA action. So it's been, if they're trying to bring somebody back and the brass wants to see somebody, they send somebody to Portland. And I I had Trevor Story last year, and I also I'm very fortunate through the years having seen a bunch of rehab starts and or major league stars. So
Yeah. So, and Andy, any final thoughts on the series? You want to talk?
Well, I think I think I'll be excited to see how our offense is. Really, I think that could be they've been a pleasant surprise, timely hitting. I've already mentioned a few guys that have been pretty exceptional. Trang. Trang is probably offensively, other than Contreras having, an unbelievable year at the plate. Trang has just been, last year he was average at the plate, young kid. If I remember right, his dad, he grew up in major league ballparks because I believe his dad played for Seattle or was a minor leaguer there. Maybe,
yeah.
If I remember right. And there was some buzz when he came up, but I don't know if it was just nerves. He just didn't perform at the plate last year. Defensively, there was never a question. There's been comments of, Gold Glove work in the field, but this year at the plate, he's just been really, really, really good. So, if we can get some timely hitting, it may be a better series than we think. But once, as you guys mentioned, we're going up against your horses. So, you guys are going to march out your best, and our hitters are going to have to bring their best. So it's really going to come down to, I don't know who wants it more. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the old adage, who wants the series more, because obviously our bats have been pretty good at the top half of our lineup. So we'll see.
Yeah. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I was just curious. Now that you're 2 months into the season, has the shock value worn off with Craig Counsell's, being in Chicago?
I think it has. I think there's that's really, touching on that. I think everybody here was more, the shock was the biggest thing, because you have a kid that grew up in the stadium in Milwaukee. When he came to Milwaukee, it was just like, oh my God, the kid is home. Enough interviews of him about how much he cared about the city. And for him to go to Chicago was like, the biggest, almost like a slap in the face.
Well, it stunned me. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Right. And I think the one thing that maybe nobody will ever know, but there might have been some discourse between the owner and him on the willingness to spend money. Maybe we'll never know, because it's not like they weren't willing to pay him, from what I heard. Maybe not what the Cubs paid him, but we weren't willing to give him a raise. I think it was a player thing. I really do. Like, he wanted to be able to, I think he felt he was close enough times. He took him to the, within 1 out of the World Series that 1 year against the Dodgers.
Right.
And I just feel like he might have felt like he wasn't getting enough help, with the owner. And that's all anybody can think of. So yeah, I think it's worn off now. And the team's performing, but I think it was a gut punch, and a lot of people felt betrayed because he's a Milwaukee guy. He still lives there,
Right.
know.
I think that's the thing that's stunning. It would be, it'd be like a guy who grew up in Boston, played and lived in the greater Boston area, going to New York.
Yeah.
That
Like
would
Clemens?
be the great cardinal sin, right?
Well, like Clemens back in the day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's same kind of feeling probably. So yeah, no, it was when that was announced. Holy man, that was. I don't think anybody knew what to say.
You could almost see it coming 2 years ago when they lowballed what's his face? Burns, right? And really, I mean, just and kind of chinsed out on the deal, right? It's like he have one of the premier young pitchers in baseball, and you just do him dirty.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think we talked about it on the show.
We did. We did. And it's like, that's the dysfunctional front office.
Right.
You know, and listen, we can't throw stones in Boston because, we spent 4 years with Chaim Bloom, who couldn't decide what he wanted to order for lunch, much less make a decisive trade at the deadline. I mean, one thing with Craig Breslow is, he's going to pull the trigger on something. He's not afraid. Okay. Where, last year we were waiting and waiting. Injuries would happen. This year, Costas gets hurt, and within a week we get Dom Smith and Garrett Cooper to kind of fill the void and kind of take us, over the hump until, Costas comes back in the lineup. Last year, we'd still be looking.
Right.
So yeah, I feel, that's usually the sign of, that's a power struggle usually.
Right.
And I think maybe Council had enough of that nonsense.
I think it's probably, I would assume that's the case. I mean, and if you look at us over the years, it's not like we've ever went out at the trade deadline when we were competing at the top of the division and got anybody great,
Right.
Like last year we got Kana, and now he's with Detroit. Yeah, he was good, right? But it's not like we ever went to trade for somebody that was gonna impact the lineup or impact the pitching staff. Yeah. It was always these average players, and that's probably
no difference makers. And that's what you were looking to do, is to make yourself, incrementally better. Somebody that can pick up the slack, for Yelich and
Right. Yeah. So I'm guessing that was probably the issue. That was probably it. I mean, nobody will ever know. And like I said, for a guy that when he came, I mean, there's a commercial I still remember of him telling that how much he cared about the city and the people. I mean, it was a pretty powerful commercial. To have him go to Chicago is just, there's obviously reasons that we'll never know, but that's what you got to assume.
Yeah. Well, my final thought is, with our left-handed semi-heavy lineup, I kind of want to see how well Churio plays. Now, our right field, the short porch, our good friend, the pesky pole right there. With that is one thing I love watching, young outfielders first time at Fenway Park, because it doesn't matter what position you play. If you're playing off the monster, if you're playing over by Pesky's pole, or if you're playing out in the Bermuda Triangle, what we call center field, it's all different. So I'm kind of curious to see, like you said, if he's going to have that fantastic catch, and how well he's going to get used to it.
Right. Well, Churio is a plus defender. I mean, there's reasons he was the number 2 prospect in baseball. Plus defender, plus bat. I will say in right field, we'll see how he does. I don't have any hesitation that Sal Frelick will do fine in your Bermuda Triangle out there. He's pretty exceptional. But yeah, Churio definitely will be a question mark. I think the game has got to him a little mentally this year. Sophomore season, just maybe not as aggressive, maybe questioning himself. Who knows?
Yeah. So, okay, guys. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. Andy, like always, thank you for sitting there and stopping by.
My pleasure.
Trade deadline's coming up. Once we have a lot more writers, a lot more podcasters, and super fans this season. So we're going to have to play the trade deadline a little differently than last year. So we're going to have to split things up. But thanks for stopping by. Guys, make sure you head on over to YouTube. Follow us at BSDN617, where you can get all your Boston sports news. Head on over to BSDN617.square.site. Check out the merchandise. The hottest shirt we have out there right now is the Halkamania shirt, where 20% of the sales goes to Tanner Houck's charity, the Caritas Family Solutions charity there in his hometown. So, but for the OG, for myself, and I please hope we get a sweep. Andy, thanks for stopping by the Pesky Podcast.